I'm not making any money. This is for educational purposes only. Fair use. Fair use. People magazine says 3 young children killed in pre-Christmas house fire. 4-year-old parents and grandmother hospitalized. Yeah. Reports. Yeah. Officials responded to an incident in Jackson County, Kentucky, just before midnight on Tuesday, December 23rd, right? They post this on so-called Christmas, right? And there's the charred house, right? Home in Jacksonville, fire on Tuesday the 3rd. Yep. Yeah, and see, these are the things that, you people are getting, because of the Lord is angry with that. The Lord's not with that. Three young children have reportedly died in the house fire in Jackson County, Kentucky, that also left another child and 3 adults seriously injured. Right? So these are the things. This is your aftermath of being part of Christmas, right? Yeah, so I'm gonna name this lesson "The Aftermath of Christmas." Yeah, so call Loyum, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa, QaDash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the 4 winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners, who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To you sisters, your achwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yahawah with the lesson. On Tuesday, December 23rd, in Kentucky, State Police provided assistance for a blaze on the Upper Dry Fork Road, according to local outlet. Said the incident occurred just before midnight and released in the death or resulted in the death of 7-month-old, a 2-year-old, and a 3-year-old. The authorities said in a release. It's like I'm just in the outlets reported. It says a 4-year-old child was also airlifted to the hospital for emergency medical attention before being transferred to a nationwide children's hospital in Columbus, Ohio, according to Lex 18. Right, and it says keep up with all these updated. So yeah, this is the aftermath of Christmas.
Phoenix police also investigating a stabbing that sent a man to the hospital. It happened near 13th Avenue in Van Buren around 9 a.m. Police say two men were fighting on a bus, and the stabbing happened when they got out. The victim was taken to a nearby hospital with serious injuries. The suspect, though, took off running. Police are urging anyone with information to contact Silent Witness at 480-WITNESS. Phoenix
11 starts with breaking news on this Christmas night. 5 people are in the hospital with serious injuries after a house fire in Bethesda. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you as always. I'm Larry Miller. Brand new video showing lots of smoke coming out of this house on Fleming Avenue just before 6 o'clock tonight. Authorities say that the fire may have been caused by the family's Christmas tree. Our Randy Hildreth spoke to officials at the scene and has more now on what happened.
Fleming Avenue in Bethesda is illuminated by Christmas lights and also, unfortunately, fire engine lights tonight. I spoke with fire officials about this house fire. They say based on their early investigation, it appears this may have been an electrical fire that started by the Christmas tree. We just got this new video from Montgomery County fire officials. Thick smoke pouring from a home off Fleming Avenue in Bethesda Thursday afternoon.
Fortunately, everybody was able to get out, but not before they received some injury.
Montgomery County fire officials say 5 adults were rushed to the hospital after escaping the flames.
Significant life-threatening injuries, what we would call priority 1 injuries. 3 of them, in fact, and 2 others have priority 2 injuries.
We're told those injuries include burns and smoke inhalation. One of those adults was seriously hurt trying to rescue a pet dog trapped inside.
Had gone back in to get the dog. Firefighters found the dog, was able to rescue the dog.
Fire officials are looking into the cause, but say this appears to have been an electrical fire that started near the Christmas tree and spread quickly.
They heard a pop in the living room, went to investigate, saw that there was a small fire in or around the Christmas tree in the living room. They went to get a fire extinguisher. In a short time that elapsed, they came back. The fire was already advanced.
Fire officials say the holiday lights were plugged into a power strip, and they'll have to look into whether there was an electrical overload with that power strip. And one thing they're doing tonight is reminding people as they investigate this house fire is to make sure that you don't have too many things plugged up at once. Reporting tonight, Randy Hildreth, WUSA 9.
Yeah, so this is Fort Worth LLC. This is ex shot mother of 5, unalived in front of her 3 children in murder suicide just before Christmas, right? And it says it says 5 young children in Arizona are facing the holiday season without their mother after a fatal unaliving subsequent standoff in Phoenix earlier this week, right? It's the aftermath of Christmas, man. Right, these holidays that we're not supposed to be celebrating. She looks like she's like a Issacharite or maybe even a Gadite, right? But you stuck off that Babylon juice, man, right? Yeah, this is People's Magazine as well. This is basically a North Carolina girl, 13 years old, basically unalived, allegedly by a group of boys she didn't know, police said. 3 teenage suspects, 2 16 years old boys, and a 15-year-old boy have since been arrested and charged with first-degree murder and felony conspiracy. Woo. Right. See, but the government will tell you there's no such thing as conspiracy. It's just a conspiracy theory, but they can apply conspiracy to them. That's crazy. So this little girl, which she's obviously, she's not innocent, right? Right? That's an innocent look. But according to the Bible, she's not innocent, right? At all, right? It says loved ones are mourning the loss of a 13-year-old North Carolina girl who was fatally, days before what? Christmas, as police announced the arrest of 3 teenagers, right? Yeah. So this is Job chapter 4, verse 7. Remember, I pray thee, right, means I beg you, right? I beg you, because when you pray to the Lord, you're actually begging. You're supposed to be groveling before Him. You're supposed to be, basically begging, right? Humble, a very humble position to beg, and it's not one to look at as something that's not noble, right? It's not like you're not a man because you're begging, right? Especially when it comes to the power, but even towards our people, because he's saying, remember this, right? I beg you, I plead with you, plead with thee, whoever perishes being innocent, right? So you got to remember that. You can't get in your emotions when we bring this up. I mean, obviously, those little babies got unalived in a fire. Obviously, this little young girl got unalived just before Christmas, right? The lady got unalived, right, just before Christmas, right? You had these a stabbing on Christmas. You have these different events, and we know that these things happen. Even when I was a kid, I recognized that. When I was young, I didn't say super kid, but I was I was about a freshman, sophomore, like high school. I realized that certain things happen, and people be asking you, "Oh, you want to go to a party?" Nah. Every time I hear something about a party, they say somebody came in there and start shooting in the party. But Jake's still go to a house party where a house is only so big, and somebody walk in there, get the shooting. Yeah, no, I'm good. And then these folly days, which I didn't know. I celebrate those things back then. I didn't know that, but I did notice. And then they just counted in for it just being a stressful time, because people want to be able to afford to get their children things, and then a lot of times that's when these women, right? The lady said it was her ex, which he might have been one of the fathers, the father of a couple of her kids, and that's when women like to dig into you. You ain't this. You ain't nothing. You can't even afford to get your kids. And then a woman, she really knows how to use what she knows about you, your your shortcomings, and really cut deep, right? And we're in the time of judgment. But any time, especially in Christmas, there's always been a time of judgment around that time. You can go all the way back. Anytime during Christmas, a husband and wife or ex, hey, someone's bound to happen, right? But how can you be considered innocent? No, she's just a mother of her children. Why would you do that to this mother? Well, what did she do? What did you even do in your past life? You might say, well, what happened about the children? Well, what did they do in their past lives? Right? Right? Or where were the righteous cut off? Right? Because matter of fact, this one explains it a lot better. This amplified version. It says, remember now who being innocent ever perished or were, and in what circumstances were those upright in right standing. See, and that's what it is. It's not necessarily if you're old or you're young or you're a mom, or if you're so-called a good citizen. Well, I pay my taxes, I go to church, I do this. No, it ain't about that, man. It's about you have to be in right standing, right? Which we know a lot of these Christian so-called churches ain't right, because that's why you have the goddamn Christmas tree in your house. Literally, Jeremiah 10 says not to have this, but every person who comes out of their mouth saying that they're Christian, they got this so-called Christmas tree in their house, right? And then Christmas basically means massacre Christ, right? That's actually what you're asking for. When you say Mary, you say it's a happy thing to massacre Christ, right? Which the Lord is actually a Hebrew, so it would be a Messiah. But even when you go into the whole thing, it's not just the Messiah that you're asking to be massacred. You're asking for the Israelites, right? Because it talks about being anointed, right? And that's dealing with the elect. So you're asking for the Messiah to be done away and the elect to be done away with when you're doing that. Those that are anointed, which will be the prophets, right? Well, with the Israelites in general, right? Because every all you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians are Israelites. So technically, you're meant to be the anointed also. But a lot of you are in such error and folly that you don't know what's going on. You're not in right standing with the power, the Most High Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, destroyed. When did the upright and the ones who were good with him, the Lord destroy him? Because this person was so good and so upright and so the Lord knows, you know what? I'm gonna kill you anyway. No, anybody who did the right things got rewarded, and there's a reward, right? Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 13 says, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the power, the Most High Yahawah," right? And that's how you could be in good standings with the Most High Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, and keep His commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. And you're a woman, you're a one man, right? Part of mankind, right? Sometimes you got to say it like that, because I remember one time I was speaking to this young lady, and she was like, but that says that's about a man. Well, you are a one man, right? I don't know if you understand that, or you're part of mankind. When it says man, it's talking about mankind, right? Which ultimately is really, speaking to the Israelites, right? But it's gonna be for all mankind once Yahawashi, comes back and take his rightful place as ruler of the universe, and putting David in his position to rule the 140, well, the 12, and then the 144,000, right? Being in their rightful rulership, right? And the whole world will have to follow under this, right? Mankind will have to follow under this, right? So it says, for the power shall bring every work unto judgment, right? So when you get unalived and your ticket get punched, that is a judgment. Whether you're a baby, whether you're a young little girl, whatever you are, These are what are called judgments, wherewith with every secret thing, right? And there's a thing where you don't know your past. You don't know who you were in the past, but this was set up from the Most High for your judgment, whether it be good or whether it be evil. And a lot of everything that has to do with Christmas, all in that Christmas spirit, that me, you can't wait. Because really, if you really was going to celebrate Christmas, which is all BS, right? I'm not going to say it's not BS. It is. But if you were going to do it and you wanted to do it somewhat right, which there's really no right way, because it's all pagan, and you Israelites is going to get you unalived, because it's not pleasing to the Most High. But if someone's going to do it, it ain't about me. It would be about giving away the gift, right? You know, because if you they try to use the wise men that came to visit Yahawashi when he was a baby and gave gifts, but you got to understand what they gave, for one, and why they gave it. Because they gave it, for one thing, it's because the Messiah is greater than them. So basically, they basically gave some shekels, some gold, some silver pieces, some money, right? And then it was like, I believe there was frankincense and myrrh and things within there, which represents Yahawashi being the high priest. And who do you give the shekels to? When you pay tithes, you give the tithes to the priest. So you got to understand what was really actually happening there, right? Yeah. So this is Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "To everything there is a season," right? The time that you live, right? And a time to every purpose under heaven, right? Which is talking about the earth, right? A time to be born, right? They were born, you born 19 whatever, 2000 whatever, right? And a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up, and time to pluck up that which is planted, Salakia, right? A cycle, a harvest of life, so to speak, right? Kind of almost the same thing that what's his name, the can't even think of the dad's name from Lion King, right? And he basically he told him, it's the circle of life, so to speak, right? You eat, yeah, right. You eat the antelope, and they bones and that thing goes into the soil, which fertilizes the soil, which brings up the grass that feeds the antelope, right? And it's then one day you perish and you turn into the thing, soil and the grass to feed the antelope, but then through seasons, through generations, right? A time to be born and a time to die, right? A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, right? And I know a lot of people go, well, the Lord said, "Thou shalt not kill." This is not really it should be saying, "Thou shalt not commit murder." But there is a time to kill, right? Because the Lord is a man of war, right? And wars, people get what? Killed, right? there's things that happen, right? In judgment, people get killed. So these are the things that happen. That happens in the time of what? Of judgment. A time to kill during the time of judgment, and a time to heal, right? During the time of what? Doing what you were supposed to be doing, and what? You get healed, right? A time to break down, right? Your mental state of thinking that plantation Christianity or whatever you believe in is the way. And so you're celebrating these Christmas. You got to break down your thoughts, your things that you thought of this world, right? And a time to build up, man. And it's time for you to build up your courage, your mind towards this truth, man. Right? Yeah. So this is Ecclesiastes 3:15. Just skipping down. It says, that which have been is now. So there's a thing called reincarnation or regeneration, right? Those things which have been are the things that's now, right? That means you as a person. Yeah. You've been here before. And that which is to be have already been, right? And a lot of times you have already been a wicked Jake in your past life. You come in this life, and then you're going to be wicked in this life, right? But that's not always the case too, because it could be however the Lord set it up. Lord willing, that there's a time where you realize, hey, I better be upright with the Lord. That's how I don't get judgments, right? But then at the same time, it has to be the will of the Father, But hey, it wouldn't hurt to try, because that's to be pleasing to the Most High is, man, it's where it's at, man. It's not easy, but it's where it's at, right? And the power, the Most High, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, requireth that which is past. So the things that you've done in your past lives, if you didn't get judged in that life, the Lord still require it. So you may come back in your reincarnation or your regeneration, and now you're a different person as far as the the phenotype and whatever, and your stature and this and that. It may be different, but you still are that same spirit within that carnation, that body, right? So but the Lord requires that the past, so judgment has to still set forth. And it says, and moreover, I saw under the sun, see, the place of what? Of judgment, see? So you're going to come back, and you're going to be, what's under the sun? The earth. The earth is under the sun. And that place you're going to come back to is a place of judgment, where you'll get your judgment here on earth. That wickedness was there, right? And people, people do what they do, right? No thought to fear the Most High, right? It's to do their own thing. You know what I mean? But if you ever come to a realization, the Most High brings you to the fold, hey man, count it all joy, count it all blessings. It says, was that wickedness was there, right? And the place of righteousness, right? So you have people doing wicked, you got people doing good. Which one you're going to choose to do, right? That iniquity was there, right? So you got people doing good, you got two people doing bad, you got people doing good, but iniquity was there. So people just constantly kept doing wickedness. That's iniquity, They just thinking there's no no repercussion for it, or consequences, no judgment, right? Because Christmas is definitely it's pagan. It's not for you Jakes, for you Israelites. And I say in my mind, right? In my heart, which is your mind, Salakia, right? Because heart meaning your mind. Because you can't say in your heart, your beating heart that beats blood, which don't make sense, right? Your heart, la'ab, your mind. In the Hebrews, la'ab, which is your mind. The power of the Most High shall judge the righteous and the wicked. See? For there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. See? And that's it. And can it be from your past lifetime that you're being judged now? Or it could be something you done in this lifetime while you're being judged.
The three wise men gifted baby Jesus with gold, representing royalty, frankincense, which symbolizes divinity, and myrrh, foreshadowing his sacrifice.
Right. So yeah, that's just Esau not knowing what's going on, to mislead you. Right. And then, I mean, that's partial truth. I guess so. You could make it partial true, but like I said, it was mostly for you give your offerings, right, via your money to your tenth part of all that you have. Part of that is your money, right? Even though dumb Jakes be acting like you're not supposed to give money. Because what is someone gonna do with a bunch of corn? Ah, man, Jake is simple, right? But you give your tenth of everything, which is your money. It's like paying your tithes, and then the frankincense being that's what the priest, the temple has, right? He's the high priest. Yeah, so this is Exodus chapter 30, verse 22. Moreover, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, QaDash, spake unto Moses, saying, take thus also unto thee principal spices of pure myrrh, 500 shekels, and of sweet cinnamon, half so much, even 250 shekels. Notice I keep saying shekels, talking about money. Shekels is talking about money, right? And you dummies will be like, oh, there ain't no money. You don't have to give money. And of sweet calamus, 250 shekels, right? And of cassia, 500 shekels, after the shekels of what? Of the sanctuary, which basically meaning the temple, right? And of oil, olive, and hin, right? So this is the thing that's to the priest, the priesthood, right? And Yahawashi basically is the high priest, right? Though Moses spoke nothing of it, it's after the order of Melchizedek. Yeah, so this is Leviticus chapter 2, verse 15, and thus shall put oil upon it and lay frankincense thereon. It is a meat offering, right? Because you're supposed to make your offerings, sacrifices, and things to the temple, right? To the priest. And the priest shall burn it for memorial of it, right? That's basically the sacrifice, right? But Yahawashi is our sacrifice now. But you don't mean you don't bring things to the temple, right? Or to the priest. It says part of beaten corn, right, thereof, and part of oil thereof, with the frankincense thereof. It is an offering made by fire unto Yahawah, right? See, and that's for the fire. That's for the and people will take that and mean, oh, think that's just the whole entire offering. No, that was the offering for your sin. That's not you bringing the shekels and the oils and things, and it's supposed to burn. You're supposed to burn it, and you're supposed to have the frankincense and the myrrh, right? And that's what they brought to Yahawashi, right? Yeah, so this is Hebrews chapter 7, verse 14. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, right? Yahawadath, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood. And it is yet far more evident. It is yet, wait, let's say it again. It is yet far more evident for that after the similitude of Melchizedek, there arose another priest, right? Which Melchizedek was first. So what priesthood rose? The Levitical priesthood. But Yahawashi is going after the order of Melchizedek. So it seemed like there's another priesthood, but there's not. It's a continuation of the priesthood, who is made not after the law of carnal commandments, but after the power of endless life, right? For he testifieth, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So who testified? The Most High, Yahawah, going all the way back in the time of Moses, where I believe Moses said there will be one like unto me, one of our brethren that shall be like unto me, which is talking about Yahawashi. For yeah, might as well just go. We'll get that. For there is verily, right, which means truly, a disannulling of the commandment going before the weakness and unprofitableness thereof. For the law made nothing perfect, right? Not that the law is not perfect, but it didn't make you perfect, right? But bringing in a better hope did, right? Which is Yahawashi, by which we draw near or nigh unto the power Yahawah, because Yahawashi is the door, he's the way, right? So you get draw unto nigh unto the power that Yahawah, BaHaSham Yahawashi, through Yahawashi, BaHaSham QaDash, and in as much as not without an oath, right? He was made priest. For those priests were made without an oath. See, the Most High made that oath to Yahawashi, right? By this an oath by him that said unto him, the Lord sweareth, Yahawah sweareth, and will not repent, right? He's not going to change his mind, right? Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So this goes into Yahawashi being the priesthood, right? Yeah, so this is Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word which Yahawah spake unto you, O house of Yasharallah. Thus saith Yahawah, BaHaSham Yahawashi, through his only begotten Son. That's how we reached Yahawah, through his only begotten Son, which is Yahawashi. BaHaSham QaDash. Learn not the way of the heathens, be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, right? These different stars and different things, the moons, the wolf moons, the blue moons, the strawberry moons, right? These different things that's happening. AI Atlas, right? We know that these are the chariots, the vehicles of the Most High. We also know that sometimes Esau will throw out certain things and try to make it seem like they have their own chariots and you know, their deception. So we're not you know, we're not deceived. We're not amazed at the things that's going on. We know about Project Bluebeam. We know about all these different things, you know. So we're not amazed. We know about the chariots, know about these different things that's going on, right? So we're not amazed, or we're not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So they're tripping out, right? And another thing is what these stars, because you know, heaven is the earth also, right? Because you also have these these people, these movie stars, these entertainers, this, you know what I'm saying? And people are also what dismayed at the signs of heaven, being like starstruck, you know, following these different idols, and you know, like they had the TV show American Idols, you know, which idol is something else you're worshiping, right? Which don't pertain to the Most High, right? And it could be your money, your mom, your children. You're making those things idols, American idols, and the Lord don't like it. See, and sometimes the Lord either take you out or take your children out, because who knows, you know. It says, for the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest. So how do you go to church and no pastor pulls that out? Why? Because of the goddamn tree from out of the forest, right in the middle, smack dab in the church. God bless you, people. Good morning. This is a good Christmas Sunday. You coming to the Sunday? You coming to the Christmas whatever program? You know we're gonna have a Christmas program this year, right? It says yeah, the work out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with an axe, and they deck it with silver and with gold, right? That's definitely a Christmas tree. And they fasten it with nails that and with hammers that it move not, right? And that's definitely a Christmas tree, right? However you want to cut it, you're not supposed to have that. This is Amos chapter 3, verse 1. It says, hear this word that Yahawah, right, the Father, the Heavenly Father, the highest, the Most High, through his only begotten Son, Yahawashi, BaHaSham Yahawashi, BaHaSham Rawchaa QaDash, have spoken against you, O children of Yasharallah, right? You so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, you are the children of Yasharallah. And against the whole family, right? It's all 12 tribes, right? Which that's what this whole thing is. the law, statutes, commandments were given unto you. So that's why you're being punished. Everyone else, they can have, 10 Christmas trees in their house. They can have all the the so-called bells and whistles or whatever you want to call it. They can have it all and nothing's going to happen to them. But because you're the Israelites, things start happening. Even if you're what was perceived to be a so-called white person, right? Your phenotype may look like a so-called white person, but your bloodline goes back to Israel. Especially some weird stuff like that starts happening. You're trying to celebrate Christmas and your house catching fire. Somebody ends up being unalived or something like that. Good chance that you're probably an Israelite, right? Because a lot of these other nations don't necessarily face those things. Not that they don't. Nothing happens, but you got to be spiritual. You got to tap into who you are. You got to pray, because if you done lost a loved one, or you lost your house, or something happened during this so-called Christmas, you should look within yourself. You should pray and ask the Lord to reveal if you're an Israelite or not, right? Because that could be what it is, Because then something is perpetually happening to you, and then you don't even know what it is. You actually do have an invisible enemy, right? Because it'll be your iniquity coming after you, right? Bearing witness against you, making things happen. So you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, and you Israelite foreigners around the world, you better stop what you're doing against the whole family which I have brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, and this is why this happens to you, right? The Lord is not here to squalor or squawk or do anything with anybody else, right? It's kind of like Apostle Hart said, we have the truth. We don't need to debate with nobody else. It is what it is, right? Like the scripture says, the Lord Yahawashi spoke with great boldness, not as the Pharisees, because they were looking to bow down to the Romans so they can keep their place. Because that's what they were saying. Hey, look, if we do, all men will believe. And that wasn't talking about all men in the world. They were talking about all of Israel, right? Because it didn't matter if anyone else believed, because no one else would believe. These are totally different customs. So you're from another nation, doing your own customs, doing your own thing, living to wherever you live at. Even now, it proves how you people are. Things are going on over on the other side of the world, even down your block, and you're unconcerned with homelessness and drugs and gang. You're until it's in your neighborhood. Now you care, but you don't care to the point that let's get to the root of the problem of why this is even actually happening, right? Systemic racism, whether they blatantly put it in front of your face or they don't. But when you're purposely putting people in a particular neighborhood, making it hard for them to have jobs, and have this and have that, and have a stability, and then you kick the man out of the house, right? And then you have this thing where you step back and go, oh, why you don't got no fathers in the house? Why you don't have this? What's up with Chicago? What's up with Chicago? All these different things and you're the one who basically set up the situation, right? Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquity. See, and then you'll have an iniquity not even knowing what it is. Instead of dealing with the way of this world, because that's what they want to do. They want to step back, and that's why it tells you about the accuser of the brethren, and that's Esau, right? Because that goes to being a false accuser, right? But also goes into being a categorial, right? And in that way, he can categorize you, and he can make his assumptions, and basically making you a proverb and a byword. Yeah, it says, can two walk together except they be agreed, right? So joining hand, the wicked will not go unpunished. Just because you're making yourself one with the system, and you're trying to do the Christmas and the holidays and the folly days, and you know what I'm saying, and you're the boss pet, right? You went from being the teacher's pet to being the supervisor's pet, and you think if you just fit in with all these different things, but the Lord's it's gonna be a judgment. Will a lion roar in the forest, right? And that where you not go get the tree at? Did you not go get the tree from the forest? Or does it not at least symbolically mean going to get the tree from the forest? Even if you got a plastic one? That's what that means. You get the tree from the forest. Where are you at in the forest? Will a lion roar in the forest when he haveth no prey? Right? You don't know. Right? It's kind of like the classic, does a tree make a noise if no one's there to hear it? Right? And that's the same thing. If you're not around these things, how can you fall victim to it? Right? Will a young lion cry out from his den if he have taken nothing? I'm pretty sure they will. But you'll never know, because you're not in the position to find out. Whether they to F around and find out. Right? Because if you're there, if you're in that forest, you're putting yourself in that danger. Right? Because now the lion has a prey. But if you're not there, that lion has no prey. Has nothing to pounce on. Nothing to devour, to eat, to feed to its young lion, to its cubs. But if you go, you're gonna be fed, right? 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 To the conditions, right? Because it's a thing even in the world. They call it. They see somebody who's like a mark, right? Someone that they can get over on. They figure they can supplant you. They can spoil you, rob you, or at least trick you, manipulate you to hand your money over to them, and they figure you're a mark. And even in the world, they say this dude right here, he's food. Not that he's going to actually eat you, but he's going to eat off of you, right? He's going to use either you're being gullible, or you're just out there in the streets and doing things that you have no business doing, or even with this whole thing with Christmas, you're doing something that's going to cause the Most High to put a cause and effect, which you're probably doing something in the street too, right? Just like that mother, that other, these other people, that little girl, she was only 13 or whatever, but what was she doing out there and a thing like that? And then they said a conspiracy, but then it said that she didn't know these dudes. So why would they conspire to kill or unalive Shalakia, a 13-year-old that they don't know? Come on, you gotta use your head for more than just whatever you use your head for, because they used to use the hat rack, but you people don't even do that, right? Can a bird fall in a snare upon the earth where no jinn is for him, right? That's like you. If you don't go into the forest, if you don't get the tree, cut out and then you deck it with silver and with gold and all to do all these different things, could there be a trap for you? Could the Lord judge you? No, there's no judgment for the Lord for you, because you ain't putting yourself in a snare. And the Lord said that these heathenistic customs will be a snare to us, right? And it says, shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all? Right. Yeah. Right, let me make sure I read that right. To snare upon the earth where there is no jinn, yet, which is a snare. For him shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all. Yeah, of course. Yeah, if nothing falls into it, right? If curiosity doesn't kill the cat is alive. You know what I'm saying? So to speak. Right? If you mind your business and not doing heathenistic customs, because the Lord said those things are the things of the heathen. That's their custom. Let they be dismayed at the signs of heaven. Let them go to the forest and cut the tree, or get a symbolic one, a plastic one, right? Let them do that. That's their thing. That have nothing to do with you, because you are the family. You're the only family that I know, and I will punish you. So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa QaDash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, yahawah, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and the Bible ball, and Kwam Yasharallah.